Let's go to the teams that suck in that division. We're gonna
I
start with the team.
resent that actually, and I'll tell you why after.
Yeah. Well, these niggas stink from at least last year. We got a team that finished third in the NFC East last year. It is the New York Football Giants. They went 6-11, missed the playoffs. Their quarterback Daniel Jones finessed all them niggas after coming off that playoff appearance the year before, where they beat the Minnesota Vikings. He got injured towards the end of the year, towards ACL, so we didn't see much of Daniel Jones. He'll be back. They drafted Malik Neighbors from LSU. They also traded for Brian Burns on the defensive side of the ball. This would be year 2 for the Brian Daboll. Man, and they are the focus of the first ever offseason Hard Knocks, which I said earlier is football porn. I did not think I would care about this show when it got announced, but I have absolutely enjoyed it. For me, the only thing I can say about the scene, they're not going to compete. I think they're stuck in a rock and a hard place because they gave a not good quarterback a lot of money. And so now they're going to have to deal with that. And I think that's really about continue to build. Maybe you can find something out of Daniel Jones. I do believe you're going to see Malik Neighbors is going to be doing a lot of cryptic tweets and Instagram stories by at least week 8 when he realizes that bum ass nigga can't get him the football. I'm going to be interested to see how Burns plays with that defense. I think it's a young, up and coming defense. I want to see how Brian Daboll is going to be in year 2. See how they're going to bounce back. Now, I mean, it's really not too much said about these niggas. I do think they will be the worst team in this division by a wide margin. And like Alice has said in the chat, that O-line is El Garbage. It is terrible. Courtney, what do you think about the New York Football Giants?
I agree with you that they are going to be bad. I am intrigued by some aspects of the team, particularly that defense. Parts of it do intrigue me. That Brian Burns acquisition was solid. I mean, you got Dexter Lawrence in there. I mean, I'm intrigued. Bobby Okereke. Listen, I'm a little intrigued by the New York Giants. That being said, they do have the misfortune of having Daniel Jones. And it doesn't have like an injury guarantee or something in his contract. Like if he does get injured, he's set, right? So that's probably his
Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
He finessed them niggas blind.
Yeah. So I'm like, best case scenario for him, they do have a terrible offensive line. Best case scenario for him is that Drew Lock does end up playing. Yeah, which is crazy. But hey, at least maybe that means we don't have to see Tommy DeVito again. I do feel kind of bad for Malik Neighbors, but you know who I'm really intrigued on, and this is for someone who is very big into fantasy football, so I kind of look at everything through that lens. Wan'Dale Robinson. I want to see what he looks like now that, listen, I don't really know what's going on with Darius Slayton. No more Saquon. You got a rookie wide receiver now coming in. I'm curious to see what Wan'Dale Robinson does now that he is going to have a bigger spotlight on him.
And by the way, Saquon, if you heard the conversation Saquon had with their general manager on Hard Knocks, that was zero chance that nigga coming back. Yeah. Zero. That one thing the episode showed me, they severely did not know how to judge the running back market. They named all the good things that DeAndre Swift does and why Brian Poles gave him that money, but they didn't decide to even try to hit him up. That's the point to see how these front offices work. Bang, what you think about the Giants' fortunes coming into 2024?
Hey, with the number 1 pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Giants select Carson Beck, quarterback.
That's crazy.
Georgia.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's where we going.
I want to give Daniel Jones, we can't pretend that we haven't seen flashes of Daniel Jones performing well. Are we all going to pretend that the Giants weren't fake decent in 2022?
No, they weren't fake decent. They ran into the frauds of all frauds, the Minnesota Vikings.
Listen, I think that the Giants have a deeper problem than just at their quarterback, especially the way that quarterbacks are the market and the quarterback classes that we have coming up. I just don't know if their problems begin at Daniel Jones.
I agree with you. I don't agree. I don't agree that it starts there. But what's that word we heard throughout the whole season with the Bears? Reset. Drafting the quarterback, get him on a rookie contract
Thank you,
is
Alex.
resetting.
Flashes sent Justin Fields to Pittsburgh, and he showed way more flashes than Daniel Jones.
So yeah, so nah, that's a wrap right there. They got Malik Neighbors and a whole bunch of people, and that's where they at right now. That team is going to be the pits. They're going to be terrible. Brian Dayball is going to
That's
look.
crazy. This
This
is
team,
Glenn Hyatt erasure, and I won't stand for it.
this this team is going to look. This team is going to be so terrible that I don't think they're going to be fired because they are terrible. They're going to be fired because people saw how terrible the decision making was.
Right.
That's
On
how I
Hard
think they're going
Knocks.
to get
Yeah,
on Hard
that's
Knocks.
the real issue is that because, again, like we just said, Daniel Jones is not necessarily the beginning of this problem, but also he kind of is because he's taking up what, like 20% of the fucking cap space, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Hey, problem is that Orlando said Neighbors was fit. Remember, Neighbors said he's putting up a 10K bet on who gonna win off his rookie year. As soon as that nigga got drafted, he said, "Yeah, we ain't doing that bet no more." Yeah,
put
because
up
you
a
know
shit.
Daniel Jones throwing to you.
We ain't doing that
You know
shit.
Daniel Jones is throwing to you. That's why. Like, and it's just look, man. I'm gonna say this about Malik Neighbors and even Daniel Jones. If you gonna be bad, at least be bad in a city like New York City. It's better than being bad in a bum city. You could be bad in Minneapolis. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be bad
are
in
there baddies in Minneapolis, St. Paul? I've never
are there
been.
are there what?
Are there baddies in Minneapolis, St. Paul?
I didn't see anyone out there, but also it was
I'm
also
sure.
negative.
I'm
It was
sure it
also
is.
negative 10 degrees. So
You
That,
find you a
that
bad. You can
was
find you a
in
bad one in
August
Idaho.
and
Like
now.
yes.
I didn't see them. I'm not saying they're not there. I didn't see them. I didn't see them. But look,
We got
New
to ask
York,
the GD. We got to ask the GD.
hey, but see, GDs who moved to Minneapolis getting their life together. You know, that's like the retreat for
And
GDs.
they find yeah. You know what? Let me shut up. I almost said something insensitive. Let's move on.
All right, man. Let's move on to our final team in the NFC East. This team finished with the worst record in the division. They went 4-13, which got them the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. They had them draft a quarterback who was not Caleb Williams, but he was a Heisman winner last year, Mr. Jaden Daniels. They have Riverboat Ron was fired last year. They've got Dan Quinn, new head coach. Magic Johnson is part of the new team ownership. They've got a whole bunch of things going over there in Landover because it's not the nation's capital. It's fucking Landover, Maryland, which is an hour outside of DC, which I found out last year. It made me almost late to the game, but we're not going to rant about that for the minute time. I will know better when I go again in October. But they got Jaden Daniels. They've got a new coach, new ownership. Um, I think this team, I'm not going to go as far as call them a sneaky team. I'm not going to go that far, but I do
I
believe this
will.
team. Okay, he said GDs will marry a white down there. Okay,
That's
you're
why I
doing
said
a
I didn't
lot.
want to be insensitive. It's
You're
a
doing a
particular
lot.
type of. It's a particular type too. So let me shut up.
You're doing a lot, but yeah,
No,
I
he
think,
ain't. No, he ain't.
but I think that this team is going to be entertaining. Like I think that I don't think Jaden Daniels is a bad quarterback at all. I think Jaden Daniels is just when you have a guy like Caleb Williams, you're gonna get overshadowed. But I think he's gonna be in a team that's ready to win, or at least build a culture to winning. You got Scary Terry, who's gonna be joined up with him. So they won 4 games last year. You can sell me on 6. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 7 wouldn't shock me whatsoever. I think that this is going to be at least offensively a fun team to watch this year. Courtney, what do you think about the Commandos out there?
I think the Commanders are going to annoy the shit out of teams this season. Kind of like, you know how the Cardinals beat the Cowboys? I know it's kind of early in the season, but like, you
Yeah,
know how like absolutely pesky the Cardinals were last
yeah.
season? It's kind of giving flashes of that for me. Again, I legitimately fear for Jaden Daniels' life behind that offensive line. Sun Devil legend, even though, we're not going to talk about, the later years of his college career. But, I'm really high on Jaden Daniels, again, as someone who is a fantasy football enthusiast. I am very high on him for my team. He's kind of like Anthony Richardson, like somebody that I could definitely pick up in the later rounds, with ease, in my opinion. But there's a lot of upside there. There's a lot of upside there with this team. Mostly, God, I want Terry McLaurin to have a good team so bad. And I'm hoping that, and listen, since Kirk Cousins left, I want to say that Washington has gone through 16 quarterbacks.
It's been around that.
17. It's been a lot. Okay. So I really just want this to be the one for Jaden Daniels' sake, because I really like him. I worry about Cliff Kingsbury kind of running that offense. Is it Brian Johnson now in Washington now as well? So that concerns me a little bit. I'm curious to see what
Brian Johnson, he's my offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
No, that nigga stayed in Detroit.
No?
Yeah, that nigga stayed in Detroit.
I really thought Brian Johnson was in Washington now.
That nigga's like, I'm gonna try to win a bowl and then pick a better team.
That's fair. That's fair. Either way, I'm still really worried about what this scheme is going to look like with Cliff Kingsbury.
I'll be worried too, because they only used him to try to poach Caleb Williams. They weren't actually trying to hire, buddy. That's all that was. But yeah, Bang, we're gonna close this out. What do you think about the team from the city you used to live
at? They will be my surprise team in the NFL. I think they're going to be better than what people think. I believe that their wide receiver room is going to be very helpful. If Jalen Daniels is who they say is, that wide receiver room is going to look and be very happy. Running back wise, I want to see what Austin Eckler, if healthy, what he could do for that team out the backfield, not running through the tackles, but extending the play, screens, and all of those things. Defensively, you have Dan Quinn, who's a hell of a defensive coach, and they do have some defensive pieces there with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. So I think this team is going to be better than what people think. I'm not saying they're going to go to the playoffs and all of that, but they're going to be highly competitive. Yeah, they're going to be highly competitive, and I do like this Washington Commanders team.
Also, you just tried to gaslight me, Scott. You're thinking of Ben Johnson, okay? I'm talking about Brian Johnson from the Eagles.
You definitely said Ben Johnson, though.
I said Brian. Either way.
I thought you said Brian myself, but
she said Brian.
Thank you. You tried to gaslight me. That's crazy.
You said Ben Johnson.
My fault. So yeah, that Cliff Kingsbury would be Brian Johnson. I hope that they'll be very happy together.
I definitely thought you said Ben, but I'll take the L.
No, you're good. I mean, listen, too many niggas Ben Johnson.
But that is inside the NFC East, man. Next week we'll be doing the Courtney's favorite division, the NFC South.
That paper on display, haters old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna